Welcome back, everybody. Welcome. This is our fourth chapter in the USG training manual / workbook. If you have not done so already, please go watch the first 3 episodes. They are leading into this one. So if you have not watched those, take some time to do so now. Also, take some time right now to grab any materials that you need for notes, whether that's a printed off version of this training workbook, whether that's on your tablet, whatever you need to do to be prepared for this next lesson. Please grab those materials so we can kind of dive on into this. I'll give you a moment. Or you can just pause this, whatever works for you. Okay, so today we're going to dive into the pitch pass off. You are going to hear this term quite often as in your time at United Solar. This pitch pass off that we're talking about is crucial for your success in the solar industry, especially when we're talking to clients in the community on a regular basis. A pitch pass off tells not only our managers, but management that we are ready to invest in you. What we mean by that is we are confident that you are going to be successful when you are speaking about the net metering program to clients in the community. So there are a few things that we're looking for in a pitch pass-off. There are 8 specific things that we look for that we're going to expand on today. Let's start. The proper pitch pass-off, most importantly, and this is number 1, is speed. If you notice that when I talk, it is not super quick. It is fairly slow. Sometimes I may talk fast, but I try my hardest to make sure that I'm not speaking at I'll say that a millennial level, because I am a millennial and I am a female, so we tend to talk very quickly. So it is crucial to have a speed that an individual can understand. From my experience in this industry, it is beneficial to speak slower rather than quickly. I'm sure as you dive into these trainings, you're going to hear us talk about an individual named Gerardo Lopez. He had an incredible pitch, not because what he was saying was spectacular and unique. It was because he spoke so slow, and people were kind of on the edge of their seat wanting to listen to what he had to say, and they could actually follow what he was saying and ask questions. When we speak super fast, people get overwhelmed and they check out. They're not going to listen to you. But when we speak with a proper speed, they have the ability to listen to what you are saying, and it comes off as if you know what you're speaking of. That was my cat Cleo. Like I said, she likes to make her cameos in each of these videos. So speed, that is the first thing that we're looking for. Now, when we're talking about speed, we're not looking for something super fast. We're looking for something that is normal. So in our training manual that's already filled out, we have speed defined as the individual speaks at an appropriate pace for others to understand. I'm just going to put normal speed. Not too fast, not extremely fast. I'm a terrible speller, like I have said in the past. It cracks me up. Not normal speed, not too fast. Oh, we didn't finish that. Oh, we did, but we need to extend it. Moving on. The next thing that we're looking for in a pitch pass-off is memorization. Now, we're not looking for memorization just so you can kind of monotonely regurgitate information. We're looking for memorization, so when somebody kicks you off of your script, whether that's an objection or just an overall something that you're not prepared for, you have the ability to hop back into a pitch. one of the things that we find most often is people get all flustered when we throw an objection into a script. They get flustered, they forget what they're speaking of, and next thing you know, they have completely lost their train of thought. So memorization is crucial to be able to dive back into where you left off. I always say this, and I've been in this industry for multiple years now. When you have memorization, this script will hit your subconscious. And what I mean by that is you will start dreaming about this script and you will start running through pitches in your dreams. You will literally hear it while you're driving. And that is the level that we want to get you at, is where you are almost bored with this script. You're like, oh my gosh, not again, right? Where you're bored with the script because it's the same thing over and over again. My cat has the zoomies right now. She's a 6-month-old kid. So memorization, we want it to hit your subconscious. We want you to be bored with the script. If you are still getting nervous about a pitch pass off or parts of the script, you're not there yet. You are not ready. We want you to literally be like, oh my gosh, not again. And I would have, like I said, I would have reps come into my office and say, Danny, oh my gosh, you won't believe this. I literally dreamed about the script last night. I'm like, you're ready, you're there, let's go. Let's run through that script. That's where we want to get you guys at. That is why memorization is so important. Not because we want you to just regurgitate information, but we want you to understand the script and be able to remove yourself from a part of the script and come back into it as if you never left. So memorization. On the training manual, memorization is stated as the individual has the script memorized, that's fairly obvious, which allows for objections to not throw the individual off. Can resume at any part of the script without any objection. Memorization. Let's start with script is memorized to the point where objections do not faze them. Boom. Okay, that's in layman's terms. We'll extend that. And we will move it. Body language. This one, for some of us, may be common sense, but we always need to touch on it because it is so important. When you are talking to individuals and you are knocking on their door, my goodness, body language is huge because they judge you within the first 5 to 10 seconds of seeing you. So if you have body language that comes off, God forbid, aggressive or anything like that, they're going to just shut the door. We want to come off, and this is going to be where we're going to do a lot of in-person training in the office when we go through pitch pass off, and we'll go through what proper body language looks like. But to the extent of what I can touch on right now, body language is where you want to be open, you want to be genuine, you want to make sure that you are approachable because you are the first face that they see about this program, and we want to make sure it's approachable and genuine. And that's also, you'll see the word genuine here. We're going to go back and circle back to that as well. But body language, make sure it's approachable and genuine. And this is going to be where the in-office training is going to come in, where we talk about making sure we're a couple feet from the door. I always say, if you are nose to nose with the door, you are too close. A pandemic aside and all things like that, you want to make sure that you have some distance between you and the individual. So you want to be about a couple feet back from the door. You always want to knock and then step back. I always say that you don't want to square up with an individual. What I mean by that is we are not shoulder to shoulder. That is a fighting pose in terms of body language. So you always want to kind of have an adjusted shoulder so that way you don't come off aggressive. And I always want to say, I would lean up against the sides, get comfortable, look comfortable, be genuine. That comes into play with body language. So let's check off body language. And I'm going to add we're simplifying these terms, right? So it's not going to always be word for word what the training manual is. But the training manual defines body language as the individual stands a distance from the door, knocks instead of rings, and is comfortable speaking with homeowners in the community. I'm going to say proper, approachable body language. Proper, approachable body language. And it's just like speed. Not too close, but not too far. We want to make sure they can still hear us. So not too close, not too far. Next thing we look for in a proper pitch pass-off is going to be tone. This is how you speak. Tone can convey a lot of things, just like body language, just like speed. Tone will also convey a message. So if you have a tone that's monotone, you'll hear this all the time, monotone, you're going to lose an individual's interest, right? You want to come off excited, you want to come off passionate, but you also don't want to come off too fast, right? So there's always this balance that we're working on when we're practicing our pitch. Tone is one of those. Now, I'm going to go back. Just like I talked about Gerardo Lopez and his speed, his tone was not incredible. It wasn't like he was telling this elaborate story. Like you'll hear Kenny Mack's pitch. It has a beautiful tone. He's telling a beautiful story. Right? But tone does not always have to be this elaborate tone. It can be to an extent monotone, but it's just this perfect balance, right? So tone, we're going to make sure the tone will, as defined in the manual, the individual's tone while speaking is as if they are a typical conversationist, not monotone but not overdone. What's that with the soup and the Goldilocks. I'm gonna have to write Goldilocks on the top of this because all of this is like Goldilocks, and if you don't know what Goldilocks is wow, it's a child's book where they're eating porridge, I believe, and it's not too hot, not too cold. We're going to put Goldilocks on the top of this because I think it is so fitting. Goldilocks. Goldilocks. And this, honestly, probably might not be the correct spelling of it, but it's so true. Goldilocks for all of this. This should be a new term that we refer to in the pitch pass-off. Goldilocks. Not too hot, not too cold. Speed, not too fast, not too slow. Memorization, that one stays. Memorization, get that stuff memorized. But body language, not too much, and then tone, not too crazy, but just perfect. Tone, let's get into it. Let's simply define tone as a conversational tone. Just as if you're talking to one of your friends, just an old friend. Nothing too crazy. Conversational tone. Next, one of the things that we are looking for is bandwagon. Now, this is not a particular speed, memorization, body language, and tone are all kind of things that you can adjust. Bandwagon is literally understanding how to bandwagon. Now, we're going to touch a little bit more on what a bandwagon is and how to properly use a bandwagon and implement them in your script. But for the purpose of a simplified version, a bandwagon is literally using your neighbor to basically push a objection or combat an objection. Let me give you a quick example. So one of the reasons why your neighbor Jose is looking into solar is because he's noticed that his winter bills are lower than his summer bills. Is this something you've noticed as well? Yes. So the reason that Jose is looking into the program is because he's wanting to get rid of those high summer bills. Solar is a fixed rate that never changes. It's like having a winter bill all year round. That would be a bandwagon. Obviously, that was a loose bandwagon. We have multiple bandwagons defined below in the training manual. But for this purpose, bandwagon is literally using a neighbor to push one of the winter versus summer. We have many others. Let's see here. Let's get into another bandwagon. I'm going to use an example right now as I scroll down in our training manual. I believe, let's look. This would be a good time to also look in your training manual. Bandwagon, summer payments, summer rates, down payments, environmental payment cycles, these types of bandwagons. So understanding how and to use and implement a bandwagon. This one is probably the hardest concept for individuals to understand. It took me truly probably, because at one time we didn't have training like this, so it took me probably a couple months we would always hear the term bandwagon, but I never really understood how to implement and what a bandwagon broke down to. So I understand how difficult these ones can actually be to understand, but it's fairly simple once you understand the breakdown of a bandwagon. So I'm going to define bandwagon as implementing and understanding a bandwagon. Oh, that's almost in our bias one. Here we go. Perfect. And we have multiple chapters breaking down a bandwagon for y'all as a resource to further understand bandwagon, because we know how complex it might seem, but once you understand it, it's super simple. But back to pitch pass off is you need to have these memorized, and you also need to be able to understand how and why we use them. Bias. Bias breaks down into how we use these pronouns. When we're talking about our pitch in this program, I'm going to be very honest. It is not about you. So we're not wanting to go up to a door and say, I think this program is the best and I think you need these savings, because that's very hard to combat if they come with an objection and now it's you versus the homeowner. We don't want a you versus the homeowner situation. We want it to make sure it's about the program and the homeowner. So bias comes in when we're talking about you and we's and things like that. It's not about you. It's about the program. It's not about you. It's about the neighbors. It's not about you. It's about the homeowner, right? So we want to make sure the pronouns are not about you particularly and how you feel, because you could feel a certain way all you want, but then it becomes a battle between you and the homeowner, and it's not about a battle between you and the homeowner. It's about a program, okay? So bias is proper use of pronouns. And we break down that as well later on. Proper use of pronouns. Genuine. Genuine. And I already previously talked about this when we were talking about speed, memorization, body language, things like that. We're going to hit back on it again because genuine in a pitch pass off is crucial. What we mean by genuine is that you're actually interested in these conversations. You're not just regurgitating information and standing there as an empty vessel. You are actually actively engaging with these homeowners. Ask genuine questions. Respond. Listen. Right? That is being a genuine human being. We want you to be a genuine human being when you're practicing the script and when you're talking to homeowners. So a genuine human being engages. So we're going to put engages, listens, and responds. But also, a genuine human being will touch base on things like, and this will become very beneficial for y'all when you're trying to relate to a homeowner, when you are trying to talk to them about solar right off the bat, it can be a little difficult. So being a genuine human being is seeing that they have, I'm from Texas originally, so I love talking about, my favorite sport is basketball. I love the San Antonio Spurs. Obviously they're not great anymore, but they were back a couple years ago. But if I were to see somebody who had a Spurs flag hanging outside their house, oh my gosh, I would love to talk to you about the Spurs, and I would knock on their door, and the first thing I would say is, I am a loyal Spurs fan too. Va Spurs, go, right? And we would talk about the Spurs, and then we would talk about the net metering program. This can be done with cars. This can be done with plants. This can be done with anything that you see outside of their home. You are genuinely, actively looking for things to connect and relate to these homeowners. So genuine, engages, listens, and responds. Next, educated. Educated is kind of the last one, and this goes and incorporates everything we just talked about on the 7 points. But it's basically, you understand the net metering program. You understand why you were here. You understand the previous history of the net metering program. You understand the incentives. You understand everything about why we're here and why we're doing it and what it is. That is educated. And that is literally why we have so much training and resources available for you guys, because we want you to be educated on this program, because your job ultimately is to educate homeowners on this program, right? So how can you educate others if you are not educated yourself? So we provide so many resources for you guys to dive your teeth into, because we want you to be educated in everything and all things solar. So educated. Let's simply break this down as educated in all things solar. Educated in all things solar, including incentives, and tax credits. This is also important, especially when you're canvassing in areas, various areas or different states, because in different states there are different incentives. Oh, that's tax. We want tax credits. This is crucial if you're canvassing in different states, or even with working with different utility providers. This is where educated comes in, because different utility providers have different incentives. Different states have different incentives, right? So we want to be educated in all things solar, all incentives, all tax credits, the program as a whole. We want you to be educated in the pitch. We want you to be educated in everything, right? So educated is the last one, and it ties everything else in. Let's make sure we touch base. Goldilocks. I love it, you guys. Make sure to put that on your notes. All right, you guys, that concludes our pitch pass off. Oh, lastly, a pitch pass off, when you hit all these points, you are ready to go and work in your area and canvas on the doors. We're going to constantly be practicing it and working and improving your script and your pitch, because it can constantly be improved and worked on. But a pitch passive ultimately will hit on all these points. You're going to make sure that you hit these points. You're going to be working one-on-one with a manager, and they're going to make sure you are primed and ready to go and prepared. When they give us the green light, that means you have a pitch pass off and you are ready to go. So like I said, that concludes our pitch pass off lesson. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, morning, whatever time this is, and I look forward to talking and working with you guys on Chapter 5.